Hello, my name is Officer Jason Medina, AKA that little pain in the butt. I grew up in Spanish Harlem, in that building, right across from where the RBI field is today. I was there when RBI was born. It wasn't a field then, it was a dumping ground, a hole in the middle of the community. When I was about 9, I started to see construction going on. And then what did my young eyes see? But rubble turning into diamonds. Baseball diamonds. It was like some dream to see rocks and bricks turn to grass and to have caring adults appear out of thin air, offering to help you succeed, to give you support. It's had to be a dream, right? I was lucky that I had both of my parents and they both worked full time. Since they worked, we spent our time with our grandparents who lived in the projects around the corner. But most of the kids in our building weren't as lucky. They were being raised by single parents, and if their mom was working, well, the kids had to fend for themselves. That is why Harlem RBI is such a godsend. There were a bunch of adults who arrived in the middle of a place where kids ran wild, and they showed up with baseball equipment. So what kind of kid was I? I was hot-headed, had a short temper, had a great batting average, below average grades. I made fun of other players who weren't as talented as I was. And if they didn't catch, I'd throw my glove on the ground and stomp off the field. In other words, I had some baseball skills, but zero life skills. Well, Rich Berlin had long, long talks with me and made me understand that there was no I in team. Now, I was young, I thought Rich made that phrase up. I thought he was wise. I later learned he didn't write that line, but I also learned he really is a wise and caring man. Rich showed a dedication to the kids in our community. He just wouldn't give up on us, and he wouldn't let us give up on ourselves. I don't have to work hard to imagine where I would be today if there were no Harlem RBI, no Rich Berlin. I've probably been like most of my peers from the neighborhood, like Tony, who was selling drugs and was killed, or Miguel, who Rich and I can relate to, was arrested for cutting someone's face with a box cutter. None of those kids understood RBI, and I have to admit at times I didn't understand RBI. You see, I thought I was joining a baseball program, but it really wasn't about baseball at all. We were learning about life, about responsibility. If we wanted to play, they make us come early and take classes, but they were so much fun we didn't know we were learning. In one class, I had to design baseball fields and stadiums. I started to think to myself, when can I possibly use knowledge like this? It also made me think about becoming an engineer, possibly an architect. Harlem RBI let me play the game, but made me work towards college. They made me understand that high school was only the AAA, and you couldn't stop there. College was the major leagues. It was the show. And if I ever wanted to wear a professional uniform, well, better get a college degree. RBI gave me a $5,000 scholarship towards college, which I sorely needed. And a funny thing happened in college. I only played baseball for 1 year. And I realized I wanted to pursue something more powerful, my educational goals. Some of my old friends in Spanish Harlem would have been shocked to learn I now had an eye for law enforcement. So I continued my studies and graduated from City College. And when I left the majors, I got to put on a professional uniform. Today, I'm a police officer in Washington, D.C. This is my road uniform. I'm in community outreach. I patrol public housing complexes, like I grew up on a bicycle. I love it. One of my duties is to patrol school dismissals. And it was there, during that, I walked into the second worst shooting in D.C. history. I was there watching 7, 8, 9-year-old kids leave the school when all of a sudden a barrage of gunshots sounded off. And the children began screaming and crying, not knowing what to do or where to hide, under cars, behind a friend. So I paused for a second to hear where the shots were coming from. Second barrage came out right from behind me. Something that's not here, but I didn't look at my partner. Just ran towards gunfire. I was literally steps away from walking into the line of fire when 5 shots rang out in front of me. It was so close I felt the vibrations. There in front of me was the gunman, a gun in his hand, and a body on the ground in front of him. I used words, not weapons, to get him to put the gun down. In the end, 5 people were shot, 2 were killed. And this happened in all broad daylight in front of a school full of innocent, petrified children. I was furious. I wanted to do something for these kids, but didn't know how. My community outreach specialist approached me and asked me if there were any strengths that I could put for the community. I thought about it and told her, I'm actually big in baseball. That's my strength. She asked me what I knew how to do, and I told her, as a matter of fact, I know how to design and build baseball fields and stadiums. She said to me, then run with it. So I spoke to community members from nearby public housing complexes and said, hey, let's start a baseball program. They said, but you'll need a baseball field. Told them, don't worry, I'm taking care of that. There was a park nearby full of drug addicts. It was called Needle Park because whenever little kids tried to play there, they would get stuck by discarded hypodermics. We cleaned up the park, got rid of every last needle, and through logic and persuasion, we convinced the addicts that the playgrounds were for children and that they should find a new place to play. We put signage in the park. No needles, no drugs, no guns. We asked folks for help, and it's amazing how kind people are when you just ask them for help. A construction company showed up with all sorts of machinery. We created a baseball diamond. It was the most perfect diamond ever. More beautiful even than the one I saw up here in Spanish Harlem all those years ago. We had dugouts put up. We had a backstop put in. We had uniforms for the kids. And more important, we had 60 children running from first and diving into second base. Not running for their lives and diving under cars to avoid bullets. Now we've got hundreds of kids off the street and on the playgrounds, and we're showing them that people really do care about them and their future. And they are starting to believe that they actually have a future. And I realized that I was teaching these kids what Harlem RBI taught me, was be responsible, take care of yourself, take care of your family, take care of your community. Set your goals and start running towards them. Years ago, I would have thought I was setting out to win the World Series Most Valuable MVP Award. That's never happening. But last year, the District of Columbia awarded me with the Police Officer of the Year Award. Thank you. I'm very proud of this award because it's not that I won it. I'm proud because usually the officers that win this award are from the narcotics and the homicide branches. But for the first time ever, this award went to a community outreach officer. They finally understood that Harlem RBI and you folks at Robin Hood have known all along is that it's just how important, how crucial it is to taking care of a community is. It's truly life-saving work. And I know deep in my heart, if there were ever a Nobel Prize for community care, it would go to Rich and Harlem RBI. But right now, they've got the next best thing to a Nobel Prize, an award from the people who have done more in their city than anyone else, a Robin Hood Heroes Award. Congratulations, Rich. Congratulations, Harlem RBI. Thank you, Robin Hood, for recognizing that a little baseball field, a little baseball program on a forgotten street in Harlem had the potential to save lives. We, the children you have helped, will take those values you have instilled in us and will keep paying them forward. And in the end, who knows how many lives will have been touched by that little rocky field in the most dangerous block in New York City. And you know, Rich, you were right. When we were kids, we knew we better keep our heads down as we walked down Big Bad 100th Street. But it was you and Harlem RBI that let us lift our heads and dream of doing great things. Thank you.